When you picture a lawyer doing research, your mind probably jumps straight to a very specific, almost cliche movie scene.
Oh, totally. It's always like late at night, right?
Exactly. Late at night, the desk is just barely visible under these towering stacks of heavy leather-bound volumes.
Right. And the lawyer is, rubbing their eyes, pulling down yet another massive book from some dusty firm library.
Desperately hunting for that one single sentence that might save their client. Or, if you jump forward a few decades, you picture someone staring at a glowing monitor.
Yeah, agonizing over the perfect cryptic search string.
Yes. Absolutely terrified that accidentally typing the word or instead of and could literally tank a multi-million-dollar case.
Which honestly wasn't far from the truth for a long time.
Right. But that notoriously tedious, high-stakes world of legal research, it is being turned entirely on its head. So today we are demystifying exactly how artificial intelligence is executing this massive paradigm shift.
It really is a fundamental restructuring of the profession. Whether you are a practicing attorney trying to figure out how these tools fit into your daily workflow, or just someone fascinated by how technology reshapes complex information, this is huge.
It's basically AI stepping out of the theoretical realm and into, actual practical utility.
Exactly. And we are basing our deep dive today on an incredibly insightful piece from Mormax.net titled 5 Ways AI is Transforming Legal Research Today.
What really stands out about this Mormax piece is just how grounded it is. It cuts right through all the noise.
It really does. The foundational premise of this article, the thesis we're looking at today, is that despite all the sensational doomsday headlines about robots taking over the courtroom, AI is not actually here to replace human legal judgment.
Right, it's not coming for the lawyer's job.
No, not at all. The text frames it brilliantly. We shouldn't view AI as a replacement judge or some infallible robo-lawyer, but rather as the ultimate associate.
The ultimate associate, I like that.
Right. Imagine having a junior colleague who reads at the literal speed of light, never needs to sleep, and can zero in on exactly the precedent you need in a fraction of a second.
So it handles all the brutal mechanical lifting so the human can reserve their cognitive energy for the high-level stuff?
Exactly, the strategic thinking.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before this AI associate can actually help a lawyer strategize, it has to completely change the fundamental way researchers even ask questions.
Yeah, and that's a massive shift.
It is. We are moving from the incredibly rigid, unforgiving mechanics of old databases to the actual fluidity of human intent.
Which is a shift many in the legal field have been begging for, honestly. For decades, as the article points out, lawyers literally had to speak the language of databases.
Right, you couldn't just ask a computer a normal legal question.
No, you had to translate your problem into this strict mathematical formula using, proximity modifiers.
Oh, man. I actually have to read this example from the text because it perfectly captures how clunky this was.
Oh, the dog bite one. Yes, read it.
Yeah. So if you were trying to find a case about a landlord's liability for a tenant's dog, here's what you actually had to type into the search bar. Ready?
Let's hear it.
Open parenthesis, landlord or R, quotation mark, property owner, quotation mark, close parenthesis.
And it keeps going.
Oh, it gets worse. Then you type /P, open parenthesis, dog/S bite, close parenthesis, A&D liability. What even is that?
You're essentially writing code just to initiate a basic query.
Right.
The /P forced the database to find those words in the same paragraph. And the /mins meant they had to be in the same sentence.
That sounds exhausting.
It was. If you got a single symbol wrong, or if, a judge happened to structure their sentence differently, the database would return 0 results.
So you might just assume there was no legal precedent at all.
Exactly, which is a disastrous assumption to make when you're preparing for trial.
But the modern approach utilizes natural language processing.
Yes, NLP changes everything.
Today, you sit down at your research platform and you just ask the AI the exact same way you would ask a colleague standing in your doorway. Can a commercial landlord in Texas be held liable if a tenant's dog bites a customer in the parking lot?
What's fascinating here is how AI bypasses mere keyword matching to actually understand the underlying intent and concepts of the law.
Right. It gets what you actually mean.
Exactly. This is where we get into the mechanics of semantic search. Traditional databases, they just look for matching character strings. If you search breach of contract, it only looks for documents containing that exact phrase.
But AI maps the relationships between words mathematically.
Precisely. If you search breach of contract, the AI knows to also pull up cases discussing a failure to perform or a violation of terms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it understands that a judge might have written an entire ruling about a broken contract without ever using your specific search terms.
So the source notes it won't miss a critical precedent just because a judge decided to use the word vehicle instead of the word car.
Exactly. It completely solves that needle in the haystack problem.
You know, it's like upgrading from a rigid old-school vending machine where you have to punch in the exact alphanumeric code,
Yeah.
like B4, and if you accidentally hit B5, you get nothing.
Right. Or you get like mints instead of chips.
Yeah. It's like upgrading from that to having a personal concierge. You just say, hey, I'm in the mood for something salty, and they bring you exactly what you're craving based on your underlying intent.
And because the concierge understands the desire behind the request, you aren't restricted by your own vocabulary. You don't have to guess what the snack is called to get it.
But let me push back on this a little bit.
Okay, sure.
As I'm reading this, a part of me wonders, doesn't this make researchers, well, inherently lazy?
Ah, the laziness argument.
Right. I mean, if we are relying entirely on a machine's mathematical interpretation of our intent, aren't we surrendering the hyperspecific precision that actually makes a great detail-oriented lawyer?
It's a highly debated point in the field for sure, but the source frames the resolution clearly. The AI isn't making the lawyer lazy, it's eliminating the blind trial and error phase.
Okay, so it's saving time.
More than that, crafting those complex Boolean strings, that wasn't actually practicing law, it was purely data mining.
Oh, that makes sense.
By letting the AI handle the data mining and instantly mapping those conceptual matches, it actually preserves the lawyer's mental endurance for the real work.
Which is synthesizing the legal arguments the AI brings back.
Exactly. You want your lawyer fresh for the analysis, not exhausted from the search.
Which brings us to the next bottleneck. Because once the AI perfectly understands your intent, and it goes out and finds the absolute best, most relevant cases for you,
Yeah.
well, the challenge is no longer finding the case.
No, the challenge is digesting the sheer volume of text without wasting hours of your life.
Right. The Mormax piece highlights a universally painful scenario for anyone managing heavy documentation. You find a highly promising appellate opinion.
It looks exactly like what you need.
Yes. But it is 60 pages long.
And you start reading.
And you get 45 pages deep into this dense, complex legal writing, only to finally realize
that the specific facts of this case don't actually apply to your client's situation at all.
Exactly. You just burned an hour or more of billable time for zero return.
It's incredibly frustrating.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Mm.
Because the source explains how generative AI acts as a heavy-duty filter to prevent that exact scenario.
It's a game changer for efficiency.
Before you commit to reading that massive document, the AI instantly generates a highly structured one-paragraph summary.
And we should clarify how it does this, because it's not just like pasting the first few lines of the document.
Right, it's way smarter than that.
The AI is programmed to identify the specific structural elements of a legal decision. Think of it like a highly trained miner.
Okay.
It acts as a sieve, washing away the surrounding rock, the long procedural history, the generic commentary, and it extracts just the pure ore you need.
So the material facts.
The material facts, the specific legal issue being debated, and the court's final holding.
And the text even notes that some of these tools will highlight the specific paragraphs within those 60 pages that are most relevant to your exact query.
The scale of efficiency there is just staggering. I mean, vetting dozens of cases in the time it used to take to read just one.
It's wild.
You filter out the noise at an unprecedented speed, meaning when you finally do sit down to read a 60-page opinion closely, you already know with absolute certainty that it contains the ore you are looking for.
So we've efficiently found the law, and we've digested the relevant facts. But passive research is really only half the job.
That's right.
What happens when a lawyer actually has to go on the offensive? When they need to construct an argument to submit to the court or tear down the argument filed by opposing counsel.
This is where we transition from finding the law to actively analyzing the brief. And the source brings up AI-powered tools like Casetext, CIRA, or Thomson Reuters Quick Check.
So how do those work?
You securely upload a PDF of a legal document, either your own draft or your opponent's filed brief, and the system just goes to work.
It scans every single citation.
Instantly.
And the text notes, it completely automates the shepherdizing or key cite process, right?
Yeah.
Flagging if a cited case has been overturned or is no longer good law.
Which used to take hours of cross-referencing manually. And it even flags if opposing counsel is mischaracterizing a case, identifying exactly where the judge's actual words diverge from the opponent's summary.
That is so powerful.
But the most crucial feature the source emphasizes, the one that fundamentally alters the workflow, is that the AI analyzes the legal arguments being made in the brief and then finds highly relevant cases that neither side included in their document.
Wait. So it's not just checking your work?
No.
It's actively generating a legal strategy that two human experts entirely missed. How is it finding things both lawyers overlooked?
It comes back to how the AI maps information. Because the system uses vector databases, it isn't just looking at the specific citations you typed out, it maps the conceptual shape of your entire legal argument.
The shape of the argument.
Right, and by doing that, it can mathematically overlap your brief with millions of other cases to find missing precedent that perfectly aligns with your logic, even if you never use the right search terms to uncover it initially.
That is mind-blowing.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this acts as an eagle-eyed senior partner reviewing your work before you file, ensuring your arguments are watertight. It basically catches all your blind spots.
But doesn't that level the playing field a bit too much?
How do you mean?
Well, if the AI is essentially acting as this brilliant ghostwriter that is quantifiably more thorough at finding precedent than both you and your opponent, what happens to the competitive advantage?
Ah, I see.
Like if both sides use the exact same AI to scan their briefs, aren't they just arriving at a stalemate?
It's a vital question. The AI absolutely levels the playing field of information retrieval. But having all the right bricks doesn't mean you know how to build the house.
Okay, fair point.
The AI might hand both sides the exact same set of missing cases, but the human lawyer still has to decide how to weave those cases into a compelling narrative that will actually persuade a human judge.
So the strategy, the storytelling, the emotional resonance of the argument that remains entirely human.
Exactly.
Which means the ultimate battlefield isn't just the text of the law anymore. It's the human beings who decide the law. We're pivoting from the text to the actual strategy of the courtroom.
Yes, and the article brings up one of the oldest adages in litigation: know your judge.
Right. But historically, knowing your judge was an incredibly unscientific process.
Oh, completely. It relied on firm lore.
Yeah, you'd ask a senior partner, hey, what's Judge Smith like?
Or you'd rely on your own, fuzzy memory of a case you tried in front of them 5 years ago.
But today, according to the More Max piece, AI is powering predictive analytics by analyzing thousands of past court dockets.
So we are no longer relying on hallway gossip.
Exactly. The source gives a really specific example. The AI can literally tell you that Judge Smith in the Southern District grants motions for summary judgment in employment disputes only 12% of the time.
And it goes further than just the win-loss percentage. It extracts the behavioral patterns.
Wow.
It can tell you that when Judge Smith denies those motions, he frequently relies on 3 specific precedents to justify his decision.
That is insane.
This raises an important question about how data fundamentally shifts litigation strategy and client expectations.
Because you're essentially turning Moneyball loose in the courtroom.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Just like baseball scouts shifted from, trusting their gut feeling about a kid's swing to relying on cold, hard, data-driven probability.
Exactly, and just like in baseball, the impact is highly practical. Now, a lawyer doesn't sit down with a client and say, well, I have a bad feeling about Judge Smith. They sit down and say, the data shows we mathematically have an 88% chance of losing this specific motion in front of this specific judge, and here are the 3 cases he will use to beat us.
So let's adjust our settlement offer, or let's completely change our argument.
Exactly.
It demystifies the judicial process entirely. I mean, it sounds like an absolute superpower. But as we reach the end of our deep dive today, the hosts of this article and us need to bring these superpowers back down to earth for a reality check.
Yes, because the source explicitly titles its bottom line: trust but verify.
Right.
AI is an incredibly powerful tool for cutting down hours of sifting through case law, but we must emphasize the word tool.
Because it's not flawless.
Far from it. The text specifically calls out the phenomenon of hallucinations.
Which we've seen make the news a few times.
Oh, yeah. And this happens because of how generative AI models actually work. They are probabilistic prediction engines. They are just predicting the next logical word in a sequence. They are not pulling from a verified database of absolute truth.
Right.
Because of that, they can occasionally generate errors. They can literally invent court cases that do not exist, complete with fake citations and fabricated quotes from judges.
Which is terrifying if you're about to stand up in federal court and stake your client's freedom or fortune on a case that the AI just completely hallucinated.
And that is why the source is adamant that a lawyer's expertise remains strictly non-negotiable. You cannot simply copy and paste an AI summary into a brief.
No.
You must always read and verify the primary source cases the AI finds for you. The human is still the final safeguard of truth.
Which brings us to the core takeaway from the text. It's a quote that the source notes is very popular in the legal tech world right now. AI won't replace lawyers, but lawyers who use AI will replace those who don't.
That perfectly sums it up. By embracing semantic searches, the instant summaries, the brief analyzers, and the predictive analytics, legal professionals are buying back their time.
Yeah.
They spend less time physically searching for the law and more time analyzing the nuances, counseling their clients, and building the strategies that actually win cases.
So what does this all mean for you? Whether you practice law, or you work in finance or healthcare, or you're just someone who have to manage massive amounts of complex information in your own career. The lesson here is that AI is about enhancing human judgment, not replacing it.
Exactly.
It's about letting the machine do the heavy data mining so you have the bandwidth to do the critical thinking.
But before we wrap up, there is one final thought. We want to leave you with a concept that builds directly on the premise we've discussed today.
Yeah, this is something to really chew on. We talked about how AI is learning to predict judicial behavior and construct watertight arguments by hyperanalyzing thousands upon thousands of past dockets and historical rulings.
Right. It is incredibly efficient at finding out exactly what worked yesterday.
But if the entire legal system becomes perfectly optimized to rely on old precedent.
It essentially creates a flawless echo chamber of the past.
Right. If the machine only knows how to look backward, how will the legal system ever evolve to handle entirely new societal problems? Things we haven't even invented yet that have absolutely no historical precedent for the AI to pull from.
Will our hyper-efficiency trap us in the legal past?
It's a profound structural challenge for the next generation of legal minds.
It really is.
So the next time you picture a lawyer doing research, you don't need to imagine the dusty library, the towering heavy volumes, or the absolute panic of typing OR instead of A&D.
No, the dark ages are officially over.
The ultimate associate has arrived. You just have to make sure you know how to manage it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.